Hello again. Today we're going to talk about electronic focusers. Out of all the things that you can add to a telescope, there's nothing quite as satisfying as adding an electronic focuser. To be able to just at a press of a button change the focal position of the telescope and even going right into auto focusing, which is something that's over the last couple of years has got bigger and bigger, and it's not going to be long before every telescope comes with an autofocuser built into it. But for most of us, we have to add our focusers on. Years ago, I started off with focusers like this. This is a Skywatcher focuser, where you had to press the buttons for focusing in and out. Absolutely brilliant for planetary imaging and setting up things if you had a batten-off mask, for instance, to help you out, but it's not perfect. The next thing it went up to was the stepper motor focusers. This is a RoboFocus motor here. This is the RoboFocus controller that came with it, and a whole bunch of leads all over the place. Again, you had your focus in, focus out, but you did have a port RS232 that you could connect to your computer and actually do some proper focusing on, electronic focusing on there and auto-focusing. However, things have moved on. Nowadays, there are so many different types. There's the Primaluce ones. I'm just going to show you a few of them. This is the ZWO EAF, and personally one of my favourites is the Pegasus Astro focuser. These are USB focusers. Nothing more than a USB lead goes, and the power, you have to supply power to them, but other than that, nothing more than a USB lead goes to your computer. USB leads, they're not great, but over the years they've become the standard for and come away from the sort of 9-pin and 25-pin RS232s that we used to see. Let me open up one of these and show you a second. This is the Pegasus focuser. This is brilliant for refractors. It does have a couple of issues, as all of these do, but and we'll go through those one at a time, as well as the well, later on we'll actually fit one of these focusers to a telescope and see what it's like. These are personally one of my favourites. It fits, it's got a bracket which comes with it and a bunch of leads and connectors. You fit this onto your refractor, or you can use this on a reflector telescope as well. If your reflector telescope has got enough space where your focuser is, we'll look at that in a minute as well. It's nice, neat, it's black, it's got the ports coming out of the sides of it, which is nice, rather than the EAF where they come out the edge here, and you tend to, it's easier to bash them around, where when they come out the sides they're close into the telescope. You can connect them to the telescope, you can bind them onto the telescope to keep your cabling nice and neat. I like these. I've got two setups with the Pegasus stepper motor focuser on. I'm very, very pleased. Let's go on to the next one here. This is the EAF. Now this is the one we'll fit onto a telescope a little bit later. And again, it comes with a bunch of bits, connectors. It's even got Allen keys with it to be able to fit them. This is the focuser itself, nice and neat. Okay, the problem with this is leads cabling does come out of the end of it, which I'm not so sure about. Having said that, going back to Pegasus, I will show you one thing that you've got to be very careful of. The I don't know whether you can see this very well. I'll come over here to zoom it in a little bit more. But you've got 4 screws here that connect the focuser to this particular bracket. Okay, that may show you a bit better. There you go, the 4 screws. Now these screws are very, very close to the ports on both sides. Okay, there's the power port, power port on this side here, and the this is for let's have a look. It looks like an Ethernet one, but it's another port I don't really use. But what you can do is when you're you're fitting this up, you can screw these in a little bit too far and push right into these connectors here, which isn't very good at all, or these sockets. It does come with some very tiny washers on each one of these. Make sure that you use those washers. Don't lose them when you're trying to fit this together. It's a very stable stepper motor though. It's probably the first of this lot to come out, and as I've said, I do very much like them. This is the AF, as we said. The ports come out of the end here, including a temperature sensor, which is quite nice. It's got a flat spot on the motor coming out here, so that gives you a nice good connection when you're connecting it up as well. It is what it says on the tin. It's a great focuser. I haven't got one on a telescope at the moment, but we will put one on one of my rigs later on. I have tried one of these out though, and really no complaints. Let's go on to the last one here. There's two types here. There's the older one, which is the Primaluce Senso Sesto, and Sesto Senso, sorry, and the new one. The new one is Wi-Fi, which is very good. You can actually use it from an app on your phone, which is quite good, as well as having all the connections for USB. It's very well made. It only works on a couple of telescopes, or a few telescopes. The newer telescopes, which have got the dual focuser, the 1 to 10, as well as the planetary geared one, these will work on absolutely perfectly, except for one company, Moonlight. I have had problems putting these onto Moonlight focusers before. The reason being the metal made on the Moonlight focusers just seems to be a little bit too thin, and when you fit one of these onto it, it clamps onto it too tight, and you feel the ball bearings going round and it jars. So there is that. I've only ever found it with that one make though. The rest of them works absolutely fine with. These are really good for Newtonians, which have got the right kind of focuser on. I've got one here to show you. This is a standard focuser for a nice, reasonably sized Newtonian, 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch or so. It has got the 1 to 10 fine focuser here, and this is what it connects to. So let's have a little look, and what I'll do is switch on this camera here and zoom in a little bit so we can see a little bit closer what I'm doing. So I'll be back in a second. Now you're going to have to forget my green screens that I've got behind me, giving me this lovely star-filled image while I'm talking straight to you. On here though, it's just going to look like a bit of a mess, but we're not worried about that. We're worried about the focuser itself. Now this is the focuser here. If you look at the focus wheels, you'll see that there's holes here with an Allen key connection behind them. So I'm just going to take those off, if I can, with the right Allen key. Is that the right Allen key? Yes, it is. Right, that one comes off, nice and easy, and this one should do exactly the same. There we go. Now, this is the metal ring that I was saying about, which has got to be a fairly rugged, fairly sturdy ring. Otherwise, if you've got anything clamped to it, you can make it a little bit oval, and then when you turn the planetary gears inside there to focus, it will judder, okay, which is something we don't want. If I get the Primaluce focuser here, this is the first iteration of the focuser, and a very nice one it is too. And the way that it works is it literally slides over there. The pin, this pin here, goes into an adapter in there. You do get a couple of adapters with the box of stuff, so you're absolutely fine with being able to find one. They are standard, and that slides into there. there is here a Allen key to be able to tighten it up. So let's have a little look, see if I've got the right Allen key here. Oh, that one. There we go. And you tighten that up around the ring itself. Put it in. There you go, that's now connected up. You also get some small ones around here that you can use to distribute that tightening of the locking nut around it. And in here, if you look very carefully, there are the tightening, here we go, tightening nuts in there to be able to tighten it to the little shaft that you've actually got. One there, one there. If you don't see them, then just turn the focuser. This particular setup, it will allow you to turn the focuser when you haven't got any power on it, and find the other two, tighten those up, and hey presto, there you have it, a complete focuser here with the Senso built on. Now if we go sideways here, and I'll do this here so you can see in the other camera, you can see there's very little space if you've got the tube here before you get to the focuser itself. Okay, in which case you've got to be very careful. This won't work with every single one. With the sort of 6-inch ones, 6-inch telescopes, you may not be able to do it. But with my 8-inch, it does just about fit on, so that's perfect. Okay, let's go on to the next thing then. So that's Primaluce. I won't connect it up because there's we'll connect up the other one in a bit. But that's the first one to have a look at. Exceptional. It has got a slight problem. The software has taken a long time to develop and hasn't been perfect along the way, but they're getting there. It's quite good. So as I've said before, it's the EAF we're going to be using today to actually fit to a telescope. I also brought the little handset as well, just in case I'm doing some planetary imaging or I'm away from a computer and I still want to be able to focus it. One of the problems with the other two is you've got to have them connected to a telescope and a power source. With this EAF here, I should be able to just use the power in the handset. I haven't tried it yet, to be able to take it out and focus it if I'm going off to a club meet or something like that, without having to take all of my gear with me. So this is the one we're going to use. We're going to put it onto this Takahashi telescope here. Nice little go-to telescope that I take out to club meetings and things like that. However, it hasn't got a focuser on it at the moment. I really want to put one on. Takahashi is slightly different from a lot of the other ones in it's got a locking nut at the bottom of it. And I'll just move this camera a minute to show you. This particular nut arrangement that they've got here, you've really got to use circlips to be able to take that off. You can take it off in other ways, but we'll need to replace that with a normal, I think it's M5 or M6 nut, about 12mm long. Okay, I've got one here. So this is the nut that I'm going to, sorry, not nuts, this is the screw, sorry, that I'm going to use for it. Completely lost my words there. So the way we're going to do it is I'm going to remove that first of all. Now it's only a cover. There's the cover for the adjusting of the focuser behind, but just going to remove that. We will replace that with the other screw in a bit. I'm going to get a screwdriver here and we're going to take off, move that down a little bit, that's better, makes it a much smaller scope. take off that focus wheel, and it's a very simple screw arrangement just straight into the focus wheel, leaves us straight with this this shaft here. Won't need that anymore. This hasn't got a flat spot on it right the way around. It's not too much of a problem, but we'll just have to make sure that the adapters are nice and tight. Let's get the focuser out. Because it's a Takahashi, this has got a bracket already in with the EF. This actually comes with the focuser itself. This bracket doesn't quite fit the EF going across. Okay, so you can buy, and I have, the Takahashi bracket that's the one for this telescope. So I'll take that out. Oh, I'm also going to need, you get a range of these, but this is the coupling that I'm going to use. You get 4 of them with the focuser as standard, so they'll fit almost everything. I know that's the right one. The first thing I'm going to do though is fit up this little bracket arrangement here. It's a nice little thing made of aluminium. We're not going to tighten it up too tight at the moment, it's just a case of fitting it together. So put that in there, fairly self-explanatory. Let's get a couple of Allen keys up here so I've got something to work with. Okay, that one in there. That one in there. Allen keys and a Aussie screwdriver are about the 2 biggest things that you need for putting all telescopes together. Fit that in. Now I fitted that to the smaller screws, or the smaller holes, elongated holes on here, leaving the larger elongated holes for the focuser itself. Once I've done that, let's get the focuser and the coupler. And there's 2 sets of screws on here, there and there. One for the shaft on the telescope itself and one for the shaft on the focuser. We're going to put one on the shaft of the focuser. There's the flat spot there on this shaft. So I'm going to line that up with one of those screws and I'm going to tighten it up. That will make sure that this coupler, which has got a little spring in it, bit of a spring there, won't come loose. Haven't got it quite on the flat spot, so there we go, and already that's nice and tight. I'll also do the other secondary one around it, just so we've got something there. Then we need to put that onto our focuser here. There's 2 screws there, so I'm going to put that into the focuser and I'm going to tighten those up. By doing it at this stage before you put the bracket on means that you can get to them very easily. So that one there, that one there, okay, and you can see from the little spring here that this is sprung loaded. And the last thing is the bracket itself. We're going to put that on. So a little bit more fiddly, especially vertically like this, but I'm an engineer by trade, so I should be able to do this. Put that on, not too tight so it will move around, and these 2 here which fit into the focuser, focus motor itself. None of these I'm doing up tight, I'm literally doing up finger tight at the moment because I want to put them all on and see whether they're... And one thing I've just realised is I've made a mistake here. I'll take this off. Yeah, I do them all up finger tight and then only tighten them up properly when it's all together and it's nice and nice and straight. So I'm going to tighten these up. I didn't tighten them up before, and you can't get to them afterwards because they're hidden by the focus motor itself. So I'm just going to put that on in there. I did say that I was an engineer, so you can all be there laughing at me now that I forgot to do that. There you go, and we'll put this one back in again. Here. Should all go together nice and straight. Okay, just going to put this down now. I'll come around here so you can see on there. I'm just going to straighten everything up and make sure it's nice and aligned and there isn't anything pinching something else or not happy about the arrangement. That's not this one. And this is the point where we tighten. Don't tighten too much, you don't need to be over aggressive with it. And there we go, a very, very sturdy focus motor on there. Yeah, it's all tightened up everywhere. We don't need that anymore. We don't need these. So let's get rid of those. So I think the next thing to do is actually test it out and see how easy it is to work one of these. As it so happens, I've got a laptop beside me. So I'll bring that over. This is the laptop I usually use when I'm going out stargazing, especially for my planetary work. We need to put 12-volt supply on. I have got a tracer battery here. So we'll connect 12 volts into the focuser there, USB into there, and into the focuser itself. At this stage we've just heard a nice little ping from the laptop, so it has picked up something. What I will do is just quickly open up something so I can save this screen. So if you hold on a second. That's not what I want at all. Somewhere here I'll have OBS Studio. Open, don't care which one. Right, so I've moved the camera over there so we can see the focuser a little bit closer, and I'm starting up my software. This software is SG Pro I'm going to use, but you can use any software now. Even free software that's been coming out like SharpCap and Fire Capture, they also work with electronic focusers. Almost anything that uses ASCOM will be fine. You're happy with those, and all of these focusers that I've shown you do have ASCOM drivers. Most people, when they're doing astrophotography, will use the ASCOM system anyway. So I've just connected my focuser on there. There's a couple of ways of doing it. I can use this the details inside here, the focus control inside the program itself. I don't know whether you can see this on there. I've only got it going 100 steps. Let's have it going 1,000 steps. There is a bit of backlash on these ZWO motors, but nothing that can't be sorted with a little bit of a backlash setting. Okay, and there it does say that I'm going in at that stage, but as you can see the focuser is now moving out, so we do have to swap over the focus settings. I should be able to do that fairly easily. Not in there though. What I'm going to do is, if I click on here, I should be able to bring up the ZWO setup screen, and here we've got reverse, so I'm going to click on that. So now everything's reversed. I should be able to put a value in here, let's say 1000. Now if I press out, no, not doing it. Let's do it the reverse that way. So that's now correct. You can see the focuser coming out when I press the out button here, and in there, and in my program here. So what I'll do is close that. To sort out my program here, I'm going to take that off. I'm going to change my settings in here, and this is a Sky 90, which I haven't actually got on there, but I can change. Let's just go to any one of these a minute, and focuser, and I've got a reverse direction which is actually ticked on there, so it's probably picked up from that. So I can untick that, save that those particular details there, and then it would reverse quite nicely. So let's connect this back up. Just double check there's not right. No, and it's not in settings here, so it would have to be in those settings. But easy enough to change. That's this particular piece of software, and because my other telescopes are set up slightly differently. It's as simple as that. That we've now got a nice little telescope with it set up. I will show you what it looks like using this particular software when you autofocus. It's daylight now, so I can't do it right now, but I have got a video of the telescope creating a V-curve and focusing by itself. So let's go on and we'll have a look and see how that works. So I hope you've enjoyed this. It's quite a short little video, but it shows the three main, at the moment, the three main electronic focusers around, and we've actually fitted one on there. It's very, very simple to do, and you'll never regret it if you do that to your telescope. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you've liked the video, please press the like button, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.